So welcome everybody to our Jira Service Management Fundamentals webinar. We are so glad you're able to join us today for this overview of Jira Service Management. My name is Brad Wood, and I'm a consultant and Atlassian Certified Professional with Valiantys. And today I'm going to walk you through Jira Service Management to highlight many of its strengths and capabilities. A couple quick notes on Valiantys, who we are and what we do. We are a Platinum Solutions partner of Atlassian, and we provide a number of different services based around Atlassian products, including solutions, consulting, licensing, and training, like this webinar, for example. We also work with a full stack software development company that creates custom solutions for Atlassian products through avenues such as app development and API integrations. And we offer consulting and licensing services across the entire Atlassian suite of products for organizations of all shapes and sizes, anywhere in the world and for any platform, including cloud and data center. We are the #1 Atlassian Platinum Solution partner globally, with exclusive insight and understanding of Atlassian tools, undiluted focus and skill sets, and proven capability at every level. We've partnered with Atlassian since 2006, and we have been recognized as the Atlassian Partner of the Year 12 times. And at Valiantys, we have the culture and the mindset to make Atlassian products work for you due to our cutting-edge curiosity, our commitment to value, and our customer-centric approach. We are invested in your success and engaged with your strategic goals. So I mentioned our training services. So in addition to our webinars, we also have extensive training classes on other Atlassian products, like our cloud migration workshop, our Jira software and Confluence boot camps, as well as our Jira Service Management boot camp, which is a 2-day class that takes a comprehensive look at everything you need to know to effectively use and administer Jira Service Management. This course is designed for both admins and service desk managers, and our boot camps focus on retention, and they're interactive workshops designed to leave users confident in their understanding and use of the tools and processes. Our JSM bootcamp covers advanced topics as well, such as assets, Ops Genie, and status page. You can find more information on this bootcamp and all of our upcoming bootcamps by visiting valiantys.com/training. And the next JSM bootcamp is actually coming up next week on August 27th. So take a look at that website if you're interested in that, or perhaps a future one if next week is too soon for you. So Jira Service Management, what is it and who is it for? Well, it was originally created as a service desk management tool for IT departments, but over the years, it has evolved into a much more robust platform. It's not just for IT teams. It can really be for any service team in your organization. So think about HR, legal, marketing, and really anybody who is providing a service or receiving requests from customers can benefit from using Jira Service Management. And in addition to a service management tool, it is a support system with knowledge bases, a ticketing system. It can be an asset manager. There's really a wide variety of powerful features found within Jira Service Management. JSM also provides an intake channel and tracking for your service requests, which helps support and track your customer success, keeping a record of those service requests, and keeping customers up to date on their requests. JSM can be connected to internal and external knowledge bases, and we'll look at some of that functionality a little bit later this morning. You can track and maintain your SLAs, which we'll learn how to configure here shortly. And JSM really provides a clean and highly customizable customer portal for requests to be submitted, which provides that centralized location for customers to submit their service requests, as opposed to using maybe a large or disparate, inconsistent list of communication methods like email, Teams, or Slack, phone calls, etc. We really want to centralize all of those requests, and JSM is the tool to do that. It provides a location for our customers to view the status of their service requests, as well as a communication channel between customers and agents. And it helps ensure that customers are providing the necessary information with their requests, and we'll learn how to set that up later this morning. JSM can be used for both internal and external customers. So your customers do not need to be members of your organization necessarily. And we can also use automation for Jira to automate repetitive tasks, saving your agents time and increasing efficiency, ultimately leading to quicker resolutions to your customers' requests. One thing to note, JSM is built upon Jira software. So if you're already familiar with Jira, you are going to notice many similarities within JSM. But if you don't have any experience with Jira, that's okay as well. JSM does function as a standalone product, so you don't have to have Jira software in order to use Jira Service Management. So this morning, we're going to be reviewing JSM through 3 different perspectives: the customer perspective, our service team or agent perspective, and administrators. These are the main roles that JSM users will be utilizing, and we'll cover how the tool supports each of these types of users. Our customers are going to be those individuals who use the Help Center to raise, track, comment on requests, share requests, and view knowledge base articles. Our service team will be viewing and managing those requests and actually working on those requests. They can create and manage the knowledge base. They'll be using queues, reports, SLA metrics, and they can manage our customers. And then lastly, our administrators can perform all of the agent tasks and will also do some of the higher level configurations, such as configuring the portal, request types, configuring the queues themselves, reports, and SLAs. So those are the 3 perspectives we will be looking at JSM through those lenses this morning. Jira Service Management also has many advanced features. Some of these features include incident management, change management, and assets. And we have an additional 1-hour webinar that covers these advanced features. And that the next one of those is coming up a week from today, so August 29th at the same time. And this webinar builds off of this JSM Fundamentals webinar that you're currently viewing. And it takes an in-depth look at the advanced ITSM features of Jira Service Management. You can scan the QR code here, or you can visit valiantys.com/training to sign up for this free 1-hour webinar. All right, so with that, all that being said, let's dig into Jira Service Management. And I do want to mention really quickly, we do have time at the end of this webinar for Q&A. So feel free to put any questions you have in the Q&A section, and we will get to those as time allows at the end of the webinar. So looking at our customer perspective in Jira Service Management first, Jira Service Management has a variety of intake methods for our customers to submit tickets. They can submit via email, via chat if we have it configured, via a widget. But today we are going to focus on the Help Center, which is really the main area of Jira Service Management that our customers will be submitting tickets, interacting with agents, getting those status updates, etc. So here we have a demo site of Jira Service Management, and this is the Help Center. And this is, again, where customers will submit the requests, view the status of those requests, and interact with the agents who are working on their requests. And this is the area of JSM where they're going to spend the most of their time. So right away, we see this search bar. This search bar will help the users find both request forms and knowledge base articles. So for example, if I just type VPN into the search bar, we can see resources or knowledge base articles are served up, and then we can see different request forms as well. And the idea behind the knowledge base articles is ticket deflection. So we want to use those knowledge base articles to guide our customers to information or steps that might help them solve their own issues, resulting in less tickets being submitted. So we can click into one of these articles and just look at an example layout here. So we can have images, we can have alert messages here that are highlighted with different colors and different symbols. We can use all this different type of formatting to put these articles together. And again, we want these to be as helpful as possible for our customers to solve their own issues and prevent a ticket being submitted if it doesn't need to be. If we scroll to the bottom of this, we can see, did this article help? And we can vote yes or no. And those results are actually saved and can be reported on from the back end of Jira Service Management. So you can get some insight into how useful are your articles. And if they're not helpful, maybe you need to make some updates to them. So that can be really helpful. Also, we have this need to raise a request, contact us. So if our customer still isn't able to solve their own issue, they can click on this and it will take them to a specific request type that we've configured, and then they can submit their request that way. Another quick thing to note here, everything in our Help Center has a direct link. So you'll notice that in the URL bar up here. So you can bookmark specific articles, specific request types, specific portal groups, etc. Everything does have a unique link here, so that can be really helpful as well. We'll go back to the main page of the Help Center, and we can see this topic section. And these are collections of related elements that can be useful to your customers in a variety of ways. Our topics area can include request forms, knowledge base articles, and links to a topic that are related in some similar characteristic or context. They can also be cross-project, unlike our portal groups, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Our portal groups can only display request types from a single project, but our topics section can display request types from multiple projects. So that can be helpful as well. And then lastly, there is an opportunity to customize the Help Center here as well. So there are different settings you can change. This like this blue bar at the top could be changed to maybe your company's logo. You can change the text that's displayed here. We have this alert message right here. So there's a lot of great customization opportunities here in the Help Center as well. So I mentioned the portals. Each one of these portals is connected to a specific project in Jira Service Management. And you can think of these as subsections of the Help Center based on maybe department, function, etc. So we see IT Service Desk, HR, facilities, etc. So we've got our examples separated out by department. And the idea here is to keep your request types organized based on some kind of similar trait or function and make it simple for your customers to locate the request type that they need. You can have multiple request types within a portal, and access to these is managed on the back end. And each portal can be restricted so that customers will only see the portals that they should have access to. So maybe I don't need access to the HR service desk. If I don't have access to it, I won't even see it out here in the Help Center. So there's no risk of me seeing something I shouldn't see or submitting a ticket that I should not be able to submit. So let's click into one of these. We'll click into the IT Service Desk portal. And we can see in here several different subsections. We have computers, logins, and accounts, and so on. These are portal groups, and they're collections of specific request types within this project. And we configure those on the back end as well. So we can see all of these request a new laptop, get IT help, etc. These are all things that are related to computers and have been put into that specific portal group. So if I click on computers, now I can see all of these specific request types within this portal group. If for some reason I've clicked into the wrong group, I can click this drop down and select a different group, and we can see all of those different request types listed here again. But for now, I am going to select the request a new laptop request type. And also notice this breadcrumb trail at the top. So again, if I've clicked into the wrong request type, I could click the IT Service Desk link here, or I can navigate to a different group here. And I can also even navigate to a different request type within this group from this drop down here. So a lot of simple navigation and easy to find what you need. All right, so let's fill this request type out and submit a ticket. So we have this first field, raise this request on behalf of. I'm just going to leave this as myself, but if for some reason I need to submit a ticket for somebody else, I can certainly do that here, but I'll just leave this as myself. Reason for requesting new laptop. This is a field that we've configured with these 3 options, and I'm going to say my current equipment is damaged. And then we have a paragraph style field here for any additional details. There are several different formatting options within this style of field. We can add headings, we can use bold or italics, we can change the text color, we can do bullet lists or numerical lists, and so on and so forth, emojis, tables even. There's really a lot of different great formatting options in here for your customers to provide those details for your agents. But for now, I'll just put some basic information in here. I'll say I dropped my laptop and it is broken. And lastly, we have which model would you like? At face value, this appears to be another simple drop-down field, but this is actually linked to our assets database. And like I mentioned, assets is going to be covered in depth in that advanced ITSM webinar that we're hosting here at the same time next week. So I'll just pick the MacBook Pro 16-inch, and then I'll click send. And now my ticket has been submitted. We're going to come back to this screen in just a second, but I want to go back to the Help Center, and I just want to show an example of a little bit more sophisticated request form. So I will click into this employee onboarding form. And right away, we can see a lot more formatting here. We've got different columns. We've got different field types. We've got a date type field right here. We've got some radio buttons. We've got different drop downs. One other cool thing you can do with your request types is use conditional formatting. So for example, if I click business cards needed, yes, I'm presented with several more additional fields that I need to fill out for to capture the information that I need on those business cards. So we've got some other style fields here as well, check boxes, etc. So there's a lot of really great formatting options you can do with your request types in Jira Service Management. All right, so we're going to go to, we're going to click here and we're going to click requests. And in this section, your customers can see a sort of a table or a list of all of the requests that they have submitted. And we see several columns here to quickly view the information on that ticket. We can see that some of these are in different statuses, which is directly related to the issue type that the request type is associated with. And all of that information is covered in that JSM bootcamp that I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to click into the ticket that I submitted. We can see by created date here, this one I submitted today. So I'll just click on the key here. And this is the view that your customers are generally going to use for their tickets out here in the portal. So all of that information that I submitted on this ticket, so reason for requesting new laptop, the additional details, which model would I like, are all listed here. I can add a comment to the agents working on this ticket. So I could say, could you please update me on this request? And again, I have all of those different formatting options here as well, and click save. Now that comment has been added to the ticket. Here's that status again, waiting for approval. Which we'll talk about here in a minute when we look at this on the back end. And we can also see here at the bottom, one approval needed, Vicky Murphy, and we'll talk about how that is configured here shortly. I can turn my notifications on or off for this ticket. So maybe I submitted this on behalf of somebody else and I don't really need notifications on it. I can simply turn those off, or I can turn them back on if I need them. We've also configured this to where I can cancel this request. So maybe I submitted this by accident, or maybe my laptop isn't really broken. I could cancel this request, and then that would transfer the ticket into a canceled status, and then the agents know no further work is needed on this request. I can also share this with other users. So I could click this share button, and I could type in a different user's name and share it with them. And I would just simply click add. And now this ticket has been shared with Brian. So maybe he needs to know about this request for some reason. I can simply share this with him, and then he can get updates on the work being done related to this request. So that's pretty much it for the customer focused portion of this webinar. Again, they will be spending most of their time out here in the Help Center submitting tickets, getting updates on those tickets from the agents, and then interacting with them via comments. So now let's transition to our agent point of view. And I can simply do that by clicking this link. Your customers would not be able to do that. They do not have access to the back end of Jira Service Management. But as an agent and admin, I am able to click that link and go directly to the ticket in the back end. So this is what the issue is going to look like to your agents in Jira Service Management. And we'll sort of walk through this ticket and view all of the information that is presented here. The first thing we see up here, new laptop request, that is the summary field, which is a system field in all Jira and Jira's service management projects. And that was added automatically when I submitted this request. So some of those form fields, we can see how they've translated to the issue view. We can actually hide the details here if we want to. We'll expand it, and we can see why do I need this new laptop? Well, my current equipment is damaged. That's housed right here in reason. And then we can see this is that information I added in that paragraph field. I dropped my laptop and it's broken, and that was actually linked to the description field, which is another system field in Jira Service Management. And we see that right here. We can also see that I submitted this via the portal, so that information is included here, and I could actually click this link to go directly back to the ticket in the portal if I need to do that. One thing to note as well is that your agents, your admins can submit tickets from the back end directly by just clicking the blue Create button. So they don't need to go out to the portal to submit their requests if they need to, but they certainly can if they would like. All right, and then we can also see here that laptop model that I selected is shown here. We can see the MacBook Pro 16-inch that I selected. This is an assets object field. And again, we're not going to go in depth on assets today, but we will cover those in our ITSM webinar next week. We have some other buttons here on this ticket. We can create a subtask. We can link other issues. So maybe this is related to another ticket. We could create a link between those, and then we have several different link types that we can choose from. So we could just choose any of these, and then we can choose the issue that it's related to, and then create that link directly on this ticket. We can add a form to this if we need to. We can create Confluence content. We have Tempo Timesheets installed, which is a third-party app in this demo site, so we can do some time entry on this as well. Over here on the right-hand side, we have our status dropdown. So we saw out in the portal that this ticket was in waiting for approval status. If I click here, we can see available transitions to other statuses. And if you're familiar with Jira software, you are certainly familiar with workflows and statuses, and they work in the same way in Jira Service Management. So this is the workflow that's been configured for this issue type in this project, and we can see all the different statuses and available transitions here. So that might look familiar to you if you are familiar with Jira software. We have our actions drop down, which shows any manually triggered automations we might have configured. So we've got a couple of those here, and I could execute any of these if I need to. Then we have our approvals section. So we see one person from the approvers field must approve, which is right here, and we can see Vicky Murphy is set as the approver for this ticket. Behind the scenes, we have an automation set up to automatically transition this ticket once it's approved. So I could add myself as an approver, which you probably would not do in real life, but for the sake of this demo, I can do that. And now we can see I get a choice to either approve or decline this ticket. And I'll just click approve. And now we can see it's transitioned to waiting for support. So that's powered by automation for Jira. And you can configure that in your JSM projects to keep your tickets moving along in their workflow once those approvals are either approved or declined. Our next section we see here is SLAs. And I like to think of SLAs as how quickly are we agreeing to do something on the ticket. So we can see here we have two SLAs configured, time to first response within 4 hours and time to resolution with 8 hours. You can report on these SLAs, and they will change colors and be more alertive, so to speak, when they're in risk of breaching or have breached. And SLAs means service level agreements, and again, it's we're agreeing to do something in some length of time on this ticket for our customers. And we'll look at how to configure those a little bit later when we put on our admin hat. In our details section, we have several more fields that we'll just walk through these. So we have our knowledge base field, and this is showing some related articles in our knowledge base. You can actually create an article directly from here as well, or you can search the knowledge base and add some more links to knowledge base articles to help your agents work on this ticket. The assignee field, this is a user picker field. So anybody who is in this project as an agent and is an assignable user could be assigned as the assignee on this ticket. And it's very simple. You just click in here, select that person, and now they are the assignee. The reporter is the person who submitted the ticket. So again, in this case, that was me. We can see the request type here, request a new laptop. What's interesting is agents can actually change the request type. So for some reason, I submitted the wrong request type. Your agents can come in here, and instead of asking the customer to resubmit the ticket, they can simply just change the request type and then have that go to the correct queue, for instance, and be able to report on things correctly. So that's a good piece of functionality there. And then we have some other fields, organizations, request language, components. We can change the priority on here if we need to. So maybe this is a higher priority ticket than what it's currently showing. I can just simply change the priority on this. We also see request participants. So if you remember, I shared the ticket from the portal with Brian. So now Brian is listed as a request participant on this ticket. And again, he'll get notifications and updates as things happen on the ticket. And then we see approvers, which we saw earlier. Vicky was added automatically, and then I added myself manually. And we're not going to talk about how we added her automatically in this webinar, but we will go into that next week in our ITSM webinar. And again, that is powered by the assets database in Jira Service Management. And then we have affected equipment. This, again, is powered by assets, which we'll also talk about next week. But this laptop is currently assigned to me. And when I submitted this request, automation automatically added this particular laptop to the affected equipment field. So some really cool functionality there. The more field section, This is configured by your project administrator. These fields don't necessarily have to be visible on the ticket if they're not needed, or they could be moved up here to the details section and always be visible. So you've got some flexibility there. And again, your project administrator would configure that. The automation section, this is going to list any automation rules that have been triggered by this ticket. We can see several rules have been executed related to the ticket being submitted or various activities that took place on the ticket. And we won't go into how to configure automation in this webinar, but we do cover that extensively in our Jira Bootcamp. And again, all those details are at valiantys.com/training. I'm going to jump over here to the middle. We have the similar requests section. And this is going to show a list of other issues in Jira Service Management that are similar to this ticket in terms of their summary or their description. So Jira Service Management is looking for keywords within those two fields and providing this list to our agents. And this can be useful for our agents to review either past tickets that might be related to this ticket in some way, or providing insight on maybe a current incident or a problem. Maybe there's several tickets that are related that are all open that are related to the same problem. We would see those in this list. They can also highlight the frequency in which similar requests are being submitted in order to create a greater sense of urgency or show the need to look into a larger issue. Similar requests can be linked to the current ticket by simply clicking one of these link icons. And again, we get to choose that link type that we looked at earlier. And you can provide feedback directly to Atlassian from this section. So you can say, are these results relevant, yes or no? And that feedback will be provided to them on this particular feature. Then we can also filter this list between open tickets and resolved tickets. And then we also have this show more button that will show even more tickets that are related to the current ticket that we're viewing. And then directly under the similar request section, we have our activities section. This is similar to what we saw in the Help Center from our customer point of view, but we have many more options and we'll see more information here than what our customers will see. If we click all, we'll see a comprehensive look at everything that has happened since the ticket was created. So I changed the priority field 4 minutes ago. I changed the assignee. Automation has done some things. I changed the status. The ticket was approved, and so on and so forth. This is basically everything that has happened on the ticket since it was created. So this can be helpful for troubleshooting or to get that kind of audit log as to what has been taken place on the ticket and who executed a change or updated a field, etc. If we click on comments, this is where we can add comments to our ticket. We see two different types. We can add an internal note or we can reply to the customer. If I click add internal note, I can just do a quick example. And we see the internal note is highlighted in this kind of yellow or peach color. This is to really help differentiate between our internal comments and our customer comments. If we're having a confidential discussion about something on this ticket as the service desk team, we want to make sure that when we reply to an internal note, we are executing that reply as another internal note. So do be aware of that when we have internal notes. They are highlighted in this kind of different color. Another thing you can do with your internal notes, which is new functionality, is you can actually restrict the visibility by project role. So we've got this configured where we could restrict the visibility of a comment to just our administrators. And I could do that and then add that comment, and then only a select group of people could view that comment. And if I click reply to customer, I can just say customer-facing comment and click Save. And we can see this comment is not highlighted in that yellow color. So we're really trying to visually differentiate between the two comment types here and make sure people are keeping their private conversations private if needed. And so another piece of comment functionality is canned responses. So we can utilize these for responses that are either high frequency or maybe need to include specific language. And there are two different types of canned responses you can create. They can either be personal, to where I'm the only person who can use that canned response, or shared, which would be any agent in the project can use those. So you can do some cool stuff in here as well with variables. You can use smart values, Jira smart values to pull the issue's assignee name, or maybe the issue reporter, which in this case would be our customer. So you can use those to craft your your canned responses using those smart values, and again, save your agents some time when they are commenting on tickets for, again, those high frequency comment types. We'll go through some of these other tabs really quickly. History also displays similar information to the All tab. Work logs would display any time tracking information if your team is using this functionality. And then we've also got approvals, which will give us just a quick look at all of the approval steps that have happened on this ticket. So a lot to look at here, a lot to take in, but this is really, where your agents are going to be spending a lot, if not all of their time within Jira Service Management, viewing the information on a ticket, updating the information, approving if they are one of the approvers, moving tickets along in their workflow, executing those automations if they need to, and then interacting with the customer via the comment section. Okay, so that's going to do it for our agent portion of this webinar. We're going to put on our administrator hat now and look at how some of these things are actually configured. And we're going to start with queues. So queues in Jira Service Management are how our tickets are sorted and displayed for agents in a service project. This is a great way for our agents to quickly see a list of all open requests that meet a specific criteria. And really where the queues came from is if you're familiar with Jira software, you are undoubtedly familiar with boards, and boards are a way to categorize and view issues in a project. And traditionally, Jira Service Management did not have boards, and instead used queues for issue organization. That has changed recently in Jira Service Management Cloud. We are seeing boards being rolled into the tool. So you may notice those in your instance, or if you spin up a test site, you may notice those. And our queues work the same way as a filter in Jira software. So if I click queues, I'll just click on any queue. And you do need to be a project administrator to create and manage queues. But I can click these three dots and click Edit Queue. And we can see we're using our JQL here to determine what is displayed in this queue. The queue name is configured up here. The filter determines which issues are being pulled into the queue. And then these columns determine exactly that, the columns that we see in the queue. And I can add more columns if I need to. And these are all just various fields that are available in Jira Service Management. So I can add one of these if I need to. This particular queue is very helpful, assigned to me, and we can see it's looking for anything where assignee equals current user. And so any ticket that is assigned to me will be pulled into this queue, and we can see that I am the assignee on all of these different tickets. And so that can be really helpful for your agents to just get a quick view of all of the tickets that they have assigned and need to be worked on. I'm going to go into just all open tickets and we can look at a different queue. Some fields on your tickets can be updated directly from the queue. So we can see assignee is a good example. I could assign this to me directly from this queue. I could change the status directly from this as well. So this might be a great way to look at a bunch of, let's say, unassigned tickets, for instance, and assign them to a specific individual, or maybe yourself. Maybe you're going to take the work on yourself. You can do that from the queue. There are some bulk actions you can do within queues as well. So you can click this box and select several issues. By clicking this box, I selected all of them. I could select just a handful of these as well. But then I have several different bulk actions that I can do to these. So I could link all these issues. I could comment on all of these issues. I could update the assignee on all of these. I could transition all of these to a specific status. I could automatically or bulk approve these, or I could mass delete all of these tickets. So that can be really helpful in your queue if you want to make bulk updates or edits to several different tickets at the same time. If we go into our queue settings, we can, as admins, we can move our queues around in this list that we see. So we see several of these queues have been added to the team priority group, which we see right here, priority group. There's 7 queues within this group, and that's controlled here in this queue settings section. One thing to note that this will be global for all of the agents within this project. So if you add a queue or queues to a priority group, everybody will have the same view that the admin has configured. So all of that is global within your project. You can reorder your queues from here, and you can create queues as well. So let's just look at how creating a queue works. We saw this previously. So we would just give this a name, and we could add this to a priority group if we want, and then we would change the filter. So let's say resolution is not empty, if I can spell empty correctly. So now we're seeing, we're only seeing tickets that are closed because the resolution has been set on those. So we could actually name this all closed tickets. And we can click create. And now that queue has been created. We don't see it in our priority group section because I haven't set it to that. But if we expand all queues, we should see all closed tickets right here. And we see a number of closed tickets in this queue. So that's just a quick way to create queues, manage queues, update them, and view them as the project administrator. I'm going to click back to project, and we will go to project settings. We're going to scroll down to SLAs. We talked about these a little bit earlier when we were looking at the agent view of a ticket. And again, SLA stands for Service Level Agreement, which is the level of service that the team has committed to providing to our customers, either internal or external. They can be thought of goals that have a specific time frame in which they should be achieved. And you do need to be a project administrator to create and manage SLAs. So let's talk about how to configure these. So in our goals section, we see several different SLAs that have been configured. We saw a couple of these on that ticket previously: time to resolution, time to first response. We have some others configured here. And if I expand this, we can see the parameters around this SLA. So it's going to apply to certain issues. In this case, ticket category equals incidents against a specific calendar and a specific time target. One thing that's been added in SLAs recently is the ability to determine them or distinguish them by priority level as well. So something to keep in mind there, that your high priority tickets could have a shorter SLA than maybe your low priority tickets for certain goals or SLAs. So that is really nice to have here. And also we can have several different goals within the SLA. So for our incidents, we're saying time to resolution should be 4 hours. And for our service requests, time to resolution should be 8 hours. And then all remaining issues, we don't have a goal here. So you can really get granular with your SLAs and configure them to fit your team's needs. If we scroll down to the conditions section, we can see start counting time when, pause counting time when, and finish counting time when. And we can determine when the SLA will start counting, if it should pause at any specific time, and when is the SLA finished, essentially. So we can see those parameters that we have here. When an issue is created or when the resolution is cleared, we'll start counting against this SLA. We'll pause when this ticket is in either the pending or waiting for customer statuses. And then finally, we will finish counting against our SLA when the resolution is set. You do have some time format display options here as well, so you can change those if needed. We see the calendar here, sample 9 to 5 calendar. You can actually change this calendar to meet your needs and help determine when the SLA will actually be counting against itself. So if we click the calendar icon, here's our sample 9 to 5 calendar. If I expand this, we can see how it's configured. We've got the Central Standard Time Zone for the US configured here, and we're counting this from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And you can configure this to be as many as 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. If we click on other calendars, we don't have a 24-hour calendar configured, but I could simply add a new one. And we can see here we can include Saturday, Sunday, and we can update the time to be essentially all day for all these days. So maybe you have service desk teams that work around the clock on shifts. You can configure SLAs that way. Otherwise, you might not want your SLA counting when your service desk team is not working, in which case you might use that 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, whatever their working hours are. You can also configure holidays in here, and holiday dates will pause the SLAs. So if you don't have anybody working, you might not want your SLAs being tracked on those days. You can add those manually, or you can import them via an ICS file. So that's going to do it for SLAs. And we are going to move on now to request types. So remember that the Help Center and the portal groups are composed of request types. These then create issues in our Jira Service Management project. Each request type creates a specific issue type in Jira Service Management, and we can see some of that here. So we can see request a new laptop, which is the request type that I submitted, creates the service request with approvals issue type. It has a specific workflow associated with it. And we talked about those portal groups earlier. This is where that's managed as well. So we can see it's in the computers portal group. And you'll notice issue types can be associated with more than one request type, but each request type can only be associated with one issue type. So if I submit fix an account problem, it will always create the service request issue type. But there are several request types that will create that issue type. So this can help create some efficiencies on the back end. If you have several request types that are using the same configurations, they have the same workflow, the screens, field configurations, etc., you can simply associate that common issue type to those request types. So let's click into the request a new laptop request type, and we'll look at how this is configured. So we see the name up here, request a new laptop, request type description. This is description text or help text that can help explain the use or the intended use of the request form to your customers. So this will actually display out on the portal. And this is where we're going to choose all of the fields that, that appear on the request form, making sure our customers are providing the right information for our agents to start working on these requests as quickly as possible. You can use either Jira system fields or custom fields if you have those created in your instance. And we can actually make these fields required. So we can see reason, for instance, if I expand this, our fields also have display names as well. So we out on the portal, we saw a reason for requesting new laptop when I submitted the ticket. But on the back end, this field is just called reason. And we can see here the checkbox for required. So if you have a required field on your request type and the customer does not fill that field in, they will not be able to submit the request type until they provide a value in that required field. And it's very simple to add a field to our request type if we need to. So we can just simply drag and drop from this right-hand side. And then now that field's been added, you can also use this search bar to search for fields that you might need to add to your request type if needed. So for example, on this approvers field, one other thing that we can do is we can click this checkbox, use preset value and hide from portal. So perhaps our customers don't need to know who is going to approve their request, but our agents need to see that information. We could do this and choose someone, and then that field would not be visible to our customers, but it would be visible to our agents on the back end. You can also attach forms here as well. We are not going to have time to get into forms probably, but we do cover those in that JSM bootcamp as well. So let's look at the issue view for this request type. And we saw a little bit of this earlier. Then this is how we're going to configure which fields will appear on the ticket in the agent's view and which section of the ticket they're going to appear in. So we've got our description field section, which right now is just configured to show the summary field. We've got our context field section. This was that right-hand side on the ticket where we saw underneath status, we saw SLAs, knowledge base, assignee, reporter, and so on and so forth. And then finally, that lower section that said more fields, that's referred to as hidden when empty fields when you are configuring your issue view. And these fields essentially, if they do not have a value, they will be in that lower section. And when they do have a value, they will populate into context fields. So we saw that with the priority field, for example. That field did have a value, and therefore it was displayed in the context fields area. We can also look at the workflow statuses that are associated with this request type. And we have this second column here. So the first column, workflow status in Jira. Those are the statuses that are configured in the workflow. And those are what we saw in that status drop-down field when we were looking at the ticket. And that's what's going to display for your agents when they're working on tickets. But we can actually show those statuses as a different name to the customers out on the portal. So maybe our workflow statuses are really granular for our specific workflow, but the customers don't necessarily need to know that. Maybe they just need to know that the ticket is in to do, in progress, or done. We could actually change some of these things. So maybe instead of pending, we would just say in progress, and we can save those changes. And then now, when the ticket is in the pending status, it would display to the customer as in progress. So we could save those changes here if we want to. Lastly, another new feature is that request types can be restricted now. So they can be restricted to a specific user or a specific group. You would just type that information into this field and click apply, and then only specific people, either individuals or members of a group, would be able to submit that request type. So that is a relatively brand new feature. A lot of people have been looking forward to that, and so that's available now. So you could restrict a request type to maybe a VIP group, a managers group, maybe a C-level employee group has their own request types, something like that. You can actually restrict those now, which is really great functionality. We actually do have a couple minutes left, so I am going to jump into forms really quickly. You can create in JSM what we like to refer to as dynamic forms, and they can be created to capture further information from our customers, which will then be displayed on our ticket. We had one of these configured for that HR request type that we looked at. I'll just go ahead and do create form really quickly. There are several templates you can choose from, or we'll just create a blank form here. And you would give the form a name, so form name, and then you can add all kinds of information here. Again, all those text fields and info panels, things like that, you can add to this form. And then you can add fields. So there are several different field types you can choose from. We saw some of these on that HR request form. We saw radio buttons and checkboxes. We saw some of this formatting as well, like different columns, for instance, and you could put a field in this column, and you could put a field in this column, and actually edit the layout of your form that way. Another thing you can do is link your form fields to Jira fields. So if I want to link this to maybe the description field for some reason, we can do that, and this can be the displayed name for our customers can be different than description, but then once I submit this as a customer, that information would be populated in the description field on the back end in Jira Service Management. So there's a lot of really great options with the forms. You can also configure that conditional formatting that we saw earlier by clicking the Add Section button and then configuring the parameters around that. All right. I'm going to check the chat really quickly. See if there's any questions. I know we're coming up on the top of the hour. Let's check the Q&A. If this is tied to assets, can it pull in current costs? Yes, assets is really, really powerful, and like everything in the Atlassian ecosystem, very customizable. So you can connect it to other objects and other databases and pull in any kind of information that you might have on a particular object in some kind of environment. And I see from Carlos, in my job, we receive some broken machines from the user. There's an option to print the ticket details. Yes, you can print, you can export your tickets, you can print the ticket details. If I go to, let's just go to a ticket quickly. There should be, we can export as an XML file. We can simply click print, and we can generate a PDF, and we can generate a Word document as well. So the short answer is yes, you can print your issues, and there are some customizable parameters there as well. And then I see one more question. Can we restrict access to individual portal? Absolutely. You can restrict portals by customer groups or individual customers. So we see this often where maybe a manager's group has their own specific portal that other employees do not have access to. And you would just do that in your project settings. We would go to project settings and then people. And this is where you can determine who has access to your project and in what role. And we can see those roles we mentioned earlier. We've got some custom roles configured in here as well. But service desk customers would be how people have access to that portal out in the help center. So you can get as granular with that as you need to and as restrictive with that as you need to. So great questions. All right. So that's going to do it for this webinar. We focused on the fundamentals of JSM. Obviously, there's so much more that this tool has to offer in terms of those advanced features we mentioned previously, incident management, change management, asset management, and much, much more. And a reminder that next week at the same time, we'll have another free 1-hour webinar that will go into some of those features in detail. I'll be hosting that. And again, same time, same day of the week. So really hope to see everybody there. And then just one more quick reminder that in addition to our webinars, we also offer boot camps focused on a variety of Atlassian products. These provide a comprehensive look at these products and how to use and administer them effectively. Scan the QR code for a schedule of all of our upcoming classes or visit valiantys.com/training. So thanks everybody for attending this webinar. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you learned something new about Jira Service Management and how it could be a useful tool for your team or organization. If you have any additional questions regarding Jira Service Management or anything else Atlassian related, please feel free to contact me via email or LinkedIn. I believe those are in the chat, and both of them are listed on this slide as well. And definitely check out our YouTube channel as well, Valiantys North America. We've got a lot of great content there, not just JSM related, all things Atlassian, Confluence, Jira Software, managing OKRs, Jira Align, all kinds of content there. So check us out on YouTube. And again, thanks everybody for watching today, and I hope you have a great day.